But Neill Blomkamp shuts down an entire interview with Uproxx because they asked about Alien 5. Literally, it's the most awkward thing ever. It's only as a transcript, but holy shit. They're doing an interview about Gran Turismo. They're talking for 12 minutes about Gran Turismo. And then he just pops a question about Alien 5, and he's literally shuts down the interview completely. Just before I get into it and the sort of ins and outs of what was said and stuff, what do we think of that?
Tom, you want to more cultured?
I'm wondering if you can't talk about it. I don't know. I mean, is there an NDA that would extend that long?
Well, also, and if there's,
I can't say too much about the behind the scenes stuff that I know about, but I do know that he doesn't.
There was a lot of politics there.
Right? But I mean, is there a writing thing that preempts him from talking?
No.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, because there's a lot of weird stuff happening. People getting in trouble with.
He's just annoyed. He's not interested in talking about it. That's how it's framed.
You can't blame him. I mean, but it's just, I don't know. Maybe it's going to be hard to. Well, do you have can you read the transcript? Can we hear?
I want to get your thoughts first. Andre, then give me your thoughts, buddy.
Yeah.
I don't think that there is anything legally preventing him from talking about it unless something has happened recently between him and Fox Now Disney, which I think is which is unlikely. I think it's more a matter of this is a topic that is extremely, extremely sore to him. It's going to trigger him if it's brought up. So whenever you get access to celebrities and stuff like that, if there is like some kind of topic they don't want you to talk about, you'll be informed about that in no uncertain terms. Like, for instance, don't talk about this thing right here, because that is something that we're actively in talks with, so we cannot reveal anything yet. And don't talk about like this personal scandal or this whatever stuff. We want to focus on this movie right here now. We don't want any headlines or anything about something that really has nothing to do with it. This is about promoting Gran Turismo. So stay on topic and we're good. And then they have to sign on to, we're doing that. And then I would imagine that Uproxx they have knowingly and willingly, because they figured, hey, what's the worst thing that can happen? We'll ask the question, and if he gives us like a comment, we can do a story about it and get some clicks. And then he was like, you're not supposed to ask about that. This thing is over now because you betrayed our trust. I think that's fine, honestly. They're there not as a general interview, then it would not have been fine, but they are there very specifically to talk about Gran Turismo. They have been told in advance, or likely will have been told in advance, don't ask about this. That is a condition for the interview, which is a proportional interview in the first place. They do it anyway. They have violated the agreement. And he does nothing wrong by shutting them down and walking out.
Yeah.
In that particular circumstance.
Yeah. So here's what was said, basically. Here's the excerpt. After 12 minutes. All right. I saw Walter Hill came out recently and said Disney wants to go a different direction with Alien. I enjoyed the production designs you posted on Twitter. It's hard to define how little I care about what happens with Alien.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah, he touched a nerve. Yeah.
I think, okay, well, I think you just defined it pretty well just with that statement. Yeah. So I guess I don't want to talk about that either. I want to talk about Gran Turismo. Or we shouldn't talk about... Sorry, I didn't hear that last part you said. Let's just focus on Gran Turismo. Well, I mean, yeah, we did for 12 minutes, and I had more about it too. This is the thing that I think annoyed him. We're not done yet. Are you still there? Yeah. I did want to ask you about Mardenborough doing his own driving stunts. That's a pretty cool thing. Yeah. Okay, I mean, I don't know what happened there. Well, I mean, we were talking about Gran Turismo, which was interesting. Right, and I liked the movie. We've spoken about it enough. I guess you have enough info. Well, no. Publicist then chimes in that it might be time to end the interview. All right, cool. I think so too. See you guys. Bye.
Yeah, because I see what this guy's doing here. Okay. This was I see now. Okay, what happened here, and this is coming from someone who's conducted a lot of interviews, and I think Andre will agree.
Yeah.
They should have talked about this before the interview began.
Absolutely.
And he
likely,
basically
likely.
he side-blinded him with this question, and they probably were even warned ahead of time not to ask shit like this. Because all Uproxx is doing is trying to get a fucking headline, clickbait headline about aliens.
Exactly as I was saying, in other words.
Yeah, I completely agree. So, you know, and I said this in the video I made, is that I think it's always important, you know, I don't like doing bullet point interviews. I hate them. Whenever I interview people, speaking of Alien, William Eubank directed Alien-inspired underwater movie. I said to him, you know, whilst we were chit-chatting about getting the interview set up, I said to him, look, what kind of interview do you want to do? Because my preference is we just sit and have a conversation. I was like, I just want to have a chit chat with you about anything and everything, because I like to know where I want the conversation to flow freely and for things to evolve and develop as per the conversation. I think that's the best type of interview for me. I enjoy those interviews, just a normal, relaxed, informal chit chat. And they clearly had a bullet point interview where they must be talking about Gran Turismo. It's this, that they can't talk about anything else. You're only here to talk about that. Get it done.
They do this shit to Tarantino all the time, and a few other people.
He shuts them the fuck down.
And he shuts them the fuck down because he knows what they're up to. And look, it's one thing if you've talked about it up front, and you're like, look, we're gonna get into all this stuff. But if you're literally, this was them taking advantage of having 15 minutes, because this is how these things work.
Yeah,
if you're part of the press, you get basically 15 minutes to talk to the individual, whether it's in a little press booth or like nowadays they just do them over Skype or Zoom or whatever. And so a publicist will hook you up with the individual. They'll say, here they come, da, 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 da. 9 times out of 10, they'll tell you, you know, if there's things that are off limits, but usually when they don't have to tell you those things normally when they're promoting a movie, because that's kind of the understanding, is that you're getting literally 15 minutes. What you're doing is promoting the movie. Like Tarantino said it best. I can't remember can't remember which movie he was talking about, but they tried asking him about like violence in cinema and shit. And he's like, look, you want to talk about my movie? That's fine. We'll talk about my movie, but I'm not talking about this other stuff, and I'm shutting you down. And he's like, well, why don't you want to answer the question? It's like, I've already answered the question 100 fucking times in different interviews. We're here to talk about my fucking movie right now. You want the answer to that question? Go do your fucking research and find that interview. That's not what this is about. This is about us selling my movie right now.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. Like, I mean, he's not wrong.
Exactly. And this is what you have to realize, that you are that's basically kind of like Access Media, and they are doing a bullet point interview, which is very specifically a part of the advertisement campaign. Like any kind of journalist have to understand, with reference to the Snow White video we put up recently, you're not actually conducting an interview.
Yeah.
This is not it. Forget any kind of stuff about journalism. You are right now just asking fluff so that you can get a headline with something about this movie, so that your publication can retain its access to the stars and to the studio later on. That's it. That's all this is about. For an actual, if you want an actual interview, that has to be done outside of the context of releasing a big budget movie. Now, there are, of course, exceptions. You have like smaller scale things, authors and stuff like that, when they have like something new. And if they don't have any like big hiccups with anything, and they don't have like, they're not working for Disney, then you can have a proper interview with them. Lord knows that we have done that with various authors and stuff like that on a number of occasions. But when you are asking like big A-list, B-list Hollywood stars and directors and stuff like that, you are not there to conduct interviews. You are there to assist them with their marketing campaign in exchange for continued access for your publication. That's the job description. Don't get don't get illusions of journalism on that occasion.
Now, what you can hope for is during that interview, you guys really hit it off. And then they're like, well, maybe we should talk again. That's your door open to say, okay, I would love to talk to you about this, this, and that. Right. Yeah. And I've been in those positions. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. There's sometimes they just don't have anything to say about it, or they don't want to talk about it. It's just one of those fucking things. You know,
Yeah.
you just got to respect that sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.